Scariest Simpsons predictions. Have you ever watched The Simpsons and thought, wait, didn't that actually happen? Over the years, this cartoon has somehow predicted some of the world's biggest events, from elections to pandemics, and even wild tech inventions. Some are funny, others are just plain creepy. Today, we're counting down some of the scariest Simpsons predictions that weirdly came true. And trust me, the higher we go on the list, the weirder it gets. So grab a snack, maybe turn on a light, and let's dive into the spooky world of The Simpsons. Prediction number 15. Smartwatches. Back in 1995, The Simpsons gave us a peek into the future with Lisa's wedding. Her fiancé casually talks into his wristwatch, something that, at the time, looked like pure science fiction. Who would have thought we'd actually be doing that one day? Fast forward to 2015, and Apple released its first smartwatch. Today, people all over the world are using smartwatches to check messages, count steps, track sleep, and even answer phone calls, all from their wrists. It's now such a normal part of life, but back in the 90s, this kind of tech seemed impossible. Why it's scary? The Simpsons didn't just imagine a gadget, they predicted the way we'd use it. Talking into our watches, using them like tiny phones. It was all there, 20 years before it happened. Makes you wonder how many other little tech predictions they got right without us even noticing. Prediction number 14. Horse meat scandal. In the episode, Sweet Seymour Skinner's badass song, Lunch Lady Doris is seen casually scooping assorted horse parts into school lunches. At the time, it seemed like just another dark joke. Nobody really thought much of it until it actually happened. In 2013, the European food industry was rocked by a major scandal. Tests showed that many beef products in grocery stores actually contained horse meat. Some brands were even selling up to 100% horse meat and labeling it as beef. People were outraged, and trust in the food industry took a major hit. Why it's scary? The Simpsons aired this nearly 20 years before it happened. They weren't just making a joke. They accidentally pointed at a real issue with food safety and labeling. The idea that something so bizarre and funny on TV could happen in real life? That's what makes this prediction feel so creepy and strangely accurate. Prediction number 13. Disney acquires 20th Century Fox. A blink and you miss it moment in the 1998 episode, When You Dish Upon a Star, shows the Fox logo outside a studio lot. Underneath it, a sign that reads, a division of Walt Disney Company. At the time, it was a funny little joke, making fun of how Disney was taking over everything. But then came 2019, and suddenly, it was real. Disney officially bought 21st Century Fox for over $70 billion, bringing The Simpsons and many other properties under the Disney banner. This move changed the entertainment industry completely. Why it's scary? The idea of Disney owning Fox sounded crazy in the late 90s, but The Simpsons saw it coming way before any real-world talks even began. Whether it was a wild guess or subtle industry knowledge, it became one of their most talked about predictions. And the fact that The Simpsons themselves ended up being owned by Disney? That's just the cherry on top. Prediction number 12. Baby translator. In Brother Can You Spare Two Dimes? Homer's half-brother Herb invents a baby translator, a device that turns baby cries into understandable speech. At the time, this idea seemed like a fun and silly cartoon invention. However, as technology has progressed, we're getting surprisingly close to turning this fantasy into reality. Apps like ChatterBaby, developed at UCLA, and devices like QBear use artificial intelligence to analyze baby sounds and detect patterns. These tools are now capable of identifying whether a baby is hungry, tired, uncomfortable, or in pain, simply by listening to their cries. What once felt like pure fiction is now becoming part of the parenting landscape. Of course, they're not 100% accurate, and babies still don't come with a user manual. But the fact that developers are working on this kind of tech, and that it actually exists, makes The Simpsons' prediction feel almost prophetic. It's not just a random guess. It's an early look at how AI and parenting would one day mix. Why it's scary? The idea of decoding a baby's cries seemed like a dream or a joke, but now it's something parents can actually try. The Simpsons imagined a future where parenting tech could read a baby's mind, and somehow, we're actually heading that way. Prediction number 11. Mass surveillance. Throughout its long run, The Simpsons has often poked fun at the idea of being watched. In the episode Homer Badman, there's a scene where a satellite camera zooms right into Homer's house, spying on his every move. It seemed like a wild exaggeration, something only a cartoon would imagine. But in 2013, things changed. Former NSA contractor Edward Snowden revealed just how much information governments were collecting about regular people: phone records, emails, browsing history, all being tracked in secret. And it wasn't just happening in the US. Around the world, people started realizing how little control they had over their own data. Today, debates over privacy, surveillance, and data security are hotter than ever, especially with smart devices like phones, TVs, and even fridges collecting user information. Why it's scary? The Simpsons wasn't just making jokes, they were reflecting something real before it came to light. The idea that we're constantly being watched used to be a conspiracy theory. Now, it's not only possible, it's happening. The cartoon predicted a world where privacy is an illusion, and we're living in it. Prediction number 10. Trump presidency. This is probably the most famous Simpsons prediction ever. In the 2000 episode Bart to the Future, we see a grown-up Lisa Simpson as President of the United States. While discussing the state of the country, she casually mentions, "We've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump." Back then, it sounded ridiculous. Donald Trump was known as a real estate tycoon and a reality TV star. The idea of him becoming president? Total comedy. But in 2016, that joke became reality. Donald Trump was elected as the 45th President of the United States, shocking people all over the world. His presidency lasted from 2017 to 2021, and many of the challenges Lisa referred to in the episode, like economic issues and national division, strangely mirrored what actually happened. Why it's scary? It wasn't just a vague guess. The Simpsons specifically named Trump and called him a former president, 16 years before it came true. It's the kind of prediction that feels too precise to be coincidence. Whether you liked his time in office or not, this moment proved that sometimes satire hits way too close to home. Prediction number 9. Siegfried and Roy tiger attack. In Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling, Springfield opens a casino, and a flashy duo of magicians performs with white tigers. The scene takes a dark turn when one of the tigers suddenly attacks its trainer during the show. The performers in the episode are clearly based on the real-life Las Vegas magicians Siegfried and Roy, who were famous for working with exotic animals. At the time, this was just a dramatic gag, funny, shocking, and over the top. Yet, in 2003, the unthinkable happened. Roy Horn of Siegfried and Roy was attacked by one of their white tigers during a performance, echoing the terrifying scene from The Simpsons almost exactly. What seemed like an absurd exaggeration on TV turned into a chilling reality. But then in 2003, the joke came horrifyingly true. During a live performance, Roy Horn was mauled by one of their white tigers. The attack left him critically injured and effectively ended their career. The tiger, Manticore, bit Roy on the neck and dragged him off stage in front of a live audience. It was a real-life tragedy that shook the entertainment world. Why it's scary? The episode aired 10 years before the attack. What seemed like a far-fetched cartoon moment ended up predicting an actual life-threatening event. It wasn't just a parody, it was eerily accurate. Sometimes it feels like The Simpsons is less of a show and more of a crystal ball. Prediction number 8. Ebola outbreak. In the 1997 episode Lisa's Sacks, there's a scene where Marge suggests Bart read a book titled Curious George and the Ebola virus. At the time, Ebola was a relatively obscure disease, known mostly to medical professionals and rarely mentioned in mainstream media. The reference seemed like a random dark joke. However, in 2014, the world witnessed the largest Ebola outbreak in history, primarily affecting West African countries like Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia. According to the World Health Organization, this outbreak resulted in more cases and deaths than all previous Ebola outbreaks combined. The virus spread rapidly, overwhelming healthcare systems and causing global concern. Why it's scary? The Simpsons mentioned Ebola years before it became a global health crisis. While it's unlikely the writers predicted the outbreak, the eerie coincidence of referencing a then-obscure virus that later caused worldwide panic is unsettling. It highlights how the show has occasionally touched on topics that later gained significant real-world relevance. Prediction number 7. Autocorrect mishaps. In Lisa on Ice, a character types "beat up Martin" on a device, which autocorrects it to "eat up Martha." This joke, which aired long before smartphones became a staple in everyday life, humorously predicts the frustrations of autocorrect technology. At the time, the concept of a device misinterpreting text inputs seemed like a funny, futuristic exaggeration. Fast forward to today, and autocorrect errors are a common source of frustration for smartphone users worldwide. What once felt like a simple gag in The Simpsons is now a daily struggle for millions, making this prediction all the more remarkable. Fast forward to the 2000s, and autocorrect became a standard feature on smartphones and computers. While designed to assist users, it often led to unintended and sometimes embarrassing errors. These autocorrect mishaps became so common that entire websites and social media pages were dedicated to sharing them. Why it's scary. The Simpsons humorously depicted a technology that would later become a daily part of our lives, complete with its own set of frustrations. The show's portrayal of autocorrect errors years before their real-world occurrence showcases its uncanny ability to foresee technological developments and their societal impacts. Prediction number 6. Greek financial crisis. In Politically Inept, with Homer Simpson, 2012, a news ticker humorously reads, "Europe puts Greece on eBay," poking fun at the country's severe financial struggles. This satirical moment predicted the looming debt crisis that would grip Greece in the following years, leading to austerity measures, widespread protests, and major economic challenges. While the line was intended as a joke, it eerily mirrored the situation Greece would face shortly after, highlighting The Simpsons' uncanny ability to reflect real-world issues with a mix of humor and foresight. What seemed like a far-fetched quip at the time now feels like an unsettlingly accurate prediction. The crisis, which began in the late 2000s, saw Greece receiving bailout packages from the European Union and the International Monetary Fund. The country's debt levels soared, and its economy contracted sharply. However, by 2025, Greece has made significant progress. The nation plans to repay its first bailout loans by 2031, a decade ahead of schedule, as part of a broader strategy to reduce its debt burden. Why it's scary. The Simpsons' satirical take on Greece's economic woes eerily mirrored real-world events. The show's ability to touch on complex geopolitical and economic issues, even in jest, underscores its relevance and the surprising accuracy of its social commentary. Prediction number 5. FIFA corruption and Germany's World Cup win. You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee features Homer as a World Cup referee who uncovers corruption within FIFA, while also predicting that Germany would win the tournament. Initially, these plot points seemed like an over-the-top exaggeration, playing on the common criticisms of the sport. However, when FIFA was later embroiled in a massive corruption scandal, and Germany indeed triumphed at the 2014 World Cup, the show's satirical take felt uncannily prescient. What was once a laughable, fictional scenario became a reality, showing just how spot-on The Simpsons can be when it comes to reflecting the world's more absurd realities. However, in 2015, FIFA was embroiled in a massive corruption scandal, with numerous officials indicted for bribery, fraud, and money laundering. Investigations revealed deep-rooted corruption within the organization. Additionally, Germany did win the 2014 FIFA World Cup, defeating Argentina in the final. Why it's scary. The Simpsons not only highlighted corruption within FIFA, but also accurately predicted the tournament's outcome. The episode's alignment with real-world events, both in terms of organizational misconduct and sports results, showcases the show's uncanny knack for foreseeing future developments. Prediction number 4. Richard Branson in space. In The War of Art, aired in 2014, The Simpsons features Richard Branson floating in space inside a spacecraft. At the time, space travel for civilians seemed like something out of a futuristic dream. Branson, the founder of Virgin Galactic, was actively working on his vision of commercial space travel, but his actual journey to space remained far off. Fast forward to 2021, and Branson's vision became reality. On July 11, 2021, Richard Branson flew to the edge of space aboard the Virgin Galactic Spaceship 2, an event that captured global attention. The flight lasted about 90 minutes, and Branson became one of the first billionaires to experience commercial space travel, marking a significant milestone in the race for private space exploration. Why it's scary? The Simpsons predicted Richard Branson in space with eerie precision. The show depicted this event years before it happened, showcasing its ability to foresee major technological advancements. It's uncanny how a cartoon casually presented something that became a real-world milestone for space tourism, proving that The Simpsons often taps into the zeitgeist of future innovations. Prediction number 3. The Capital Riot. In the 2020 Halloween special Treehouse of Horror 31, The Simpsons showed an unsettling prediction: chaos, fires, and riots in the streets on January 20th, 2021. The episode featured scenes of violence and destruction as part of its usual dark satire. But what made it especially eerie was the timing. The episode aired just a few months before the actual events took place. On January 6th, 2021, in an act of political violence, rioters stormed the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., trying to disrupt the certification of the 2020 presidential election results. The attack led to deaths, injuries, and widespread damage. Just 2 weeks later, on Inauguration Day, the nation witnessed heightened security and the aftermath of the Capitol Riot, which left a deep scar on the country's political landscape. Why it's scary? The prediction was chilling. The Simpsons hinted at a future event of political violence just before it occurred. The show's foresight of real-world turmoil felt like a disturbing premonition, highlighting its uncanny ability to capture and reflect societal tensions that would later explode into real-life chaos. Prediction number 2. COVID-19 and murder hornets. In Marge in Chains, an episode from 1993, The Simpsons made a chilling prediction about a global pandemic. The plot centers around a virus from Asia that spreads rapidly through Springfield, causing widespread panic. At the same time, a box labeled "Killer Bees" falls over, setting off a chain of events. At the time, it seemed like an exaggerated satirical take on the anxieties of the time. However, nearly 3 decades later, the world would experience events eerily similar to those depicted in this episode. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic swept across the globe, originating in Asia and quickly spreading worldwide. It caused a health crisis, overwhelmed healthcare systems, and drastically changed daily life. During the same period, there were also reports of murder hornets, a species of aggressive hornet that caused alarm in the US. These two distinct catastrophic events mirrored the events in The Simpsons episode almost perfectly. Why it's scary? The fact that The Simpsons predicted both the COVID-19 pandemic and the appearance of murder hornets is a chilling reminder of the show's uncanny ability to foreshadow real-world disasters. What seemed like absurd comedy at the time has turned out to be a bizarrely accurate reflection of the future, almost 3 decades in advance. Prediction number 1. Artificial intelligence takeover. The theme of technology turning against humanity is a recurring one in The Simpsons, particularly through the portrayal of robots and AI. Episodes like Treehouse of Horror and Itchy and Scratchy Land show AI and robots revolting against humans or replacing them in various forms of labor. These episodes depict a future where machines take over tasks traditionally performed by humans, often leading to unintended consequences, from robots running amok to AI-driven systems undermining human control. Fast forward to 2024 to 2025, and this once humorous, exaggerated fear is becoming an increasing reality. Artificial intelligence is progressing rapidly, with developments like ChatGPT, autonomous robots, and AI systems replacing jobs in industries ranging from customer service to content creation. These advancements raise significant questions about job displacement, ethics, and the role of AI in our daily lives. Why it's scary? What once seemed like futuristic satire is now a real concern. The Simpsons predicted the rise of AI and the potential consequences decades before these issues started impacting the global economy and society. The show's depiction of AI and robots replacing human jobs, and even turning against their creators, now feels more relevant than ever as technology continues to advance at an unprecedented pace. It's mind-blowing how The Simpsons has captured the future so accurately, almost like they have a time machine hidden somewhere in Springfield. As we wrap up, Think about how many times this show made us laugh at outlandish ideas, only for them to become real-life headlines. The wildest predictions aren't just a coincidence. They're a glimpse into a future that's constantly unfolding. The scariest part? They might just be right about even more things we haven't seen yet. If you have a prediction from the show that made you raise an eyebrow, drop it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, because who knows, The Simpsons might be dropping more future predictions in your next episode. Stay tuned and keep your eyes peeled for the next big Simpsons revelation.